Now, supermarket giants Tesco and M&S recorded record trading over Christmas, despite being in the middle of a cost of living crisis. Both reported a growth in sales as higher prices on food drove up revenue. But it's not quite so peachy for ASOS, the online clothing seller. They've seen a fall in sales. Let's get the latest from our economics and business editor, Liam Halligan, who's on the money. So, Liam, what are the details here?
Of course, these are record numbers because in pounds and pence, prices go up over many years. So they can say record sales. And if you look at some of the numbers from Tesco, our biggest retailer, I've got them here on a graphic. Overall UK sales in the months before Christmas were up 5.3% on the same period in 2021. And food sales were up 8.1%. And then let's go on to Marks and Spencer's, that other retail thoroughbred. Overall UK sales, they're up 7.2%, and food sales were up 6.3%, again, in the run-up to Christmas. Look, this looks like really good news, and it is good news. These companies employ hundreds of people in many communities, tens of thousands of people across the country, and while the tills are ringing, the economy is growing. But consider, Stephen, all those numbers that I just put up on the screen there, they're a lot less than 10 or 11%, and that's where inflation is. And this is the point. Even though in pounds and pence the numbers are up, in terms of the actual goods that are being shifted, they're falling in real terms because consumer spending power is falling and the amount of goods that they can get for them is falling. And that's really the issue here. Yes, these numbers look good, but inflation, because it chips away at purchasing power, because it steals value from all of us for the pounds and pence that we earn and have in our bank accounts and spend at the shops, they can actually turn what look like positive numbers into not so positive numbers.
Yeah, so, I mean, to the converse, if next Christmas inflation was way down, those figures could be down, even though we're buying more stuff.
Exactly right. And that's why it's always worth getting beyond the headline figures and hopefully getting some explanation. There's some other interesting trends going on here, which you and I have been discussing here on GBNews for quite a few weeks now. That is the fact that Tesco's sales are pretty strong, even though the likes of Aldi and Lidl, the so-called discounters, who often present goods more cheaply, where people go to secure a bargain, they are enjoying very high sales as well. They are taking a bit more market share, these discounters. So the likes of Tesco's, Sainsbury's, Asda, the more mid-market supermarkets, even Waitrose, which, of course, is the more kind of premium brand, they are also having to compete. And so when you get competition across these supermarkets, and I do think there's quite a lot of competition in our food retailing, a lot of farmers would say they get a raw deal, but I think consumers get a good deal. So we're seeing the shape of retail sales shifting as the discounters take more market share. So the likes of Tesco and Sainsbury's still dominate, but the discounters are now stealing a march.
We've only got 30 seconds left, but why is that not applying to a retailer then like ASOS? Because they do discount clothing.
They do, but I think in the end, Stephen, we have to eat, but we don't necessarily have to buy new clothes. Of course, basic clothing is a necessity, but kind of fashion wear, which ASOS tends to, it's more good time spending. Now, clearly, it's a very strong business, ASOS. It will do well. It's not going to disappear anytime soon. But just as we see in the Marks and Spencer's numbers, again, the headline numbers were really good, but their sort of homeware and clothing revenues are actually down 25%. Because, again, that is the kind of discretionary spending that people cut when they are mindful that they need to make ends meet. And that is what we're seeing, not in the headlines of these numbers, but if you look slightly below the surface, as I've just tried to.
Ah, yeah, brilliant. Liam, thank you very much indeed.